So my opponent's claim was, in today's age, pursuing a college degree isn't the best use of time and resources. And their secondary claims was cost of college is higher than ever, and this trend doesn't seem to be stopping. And the payoff, the secondary claim was the payoff of college is not guaranteed, and the opportunity cost of pursuing a degree is getting more and more riskier. And then my response to that claim is how pursuing a bachelor's degree has become an essential part of one's success in today's society. And to start off, I talk for like my secondary claim, it is how like the cost of college is an equivalent to the benefits you get in the long run. So basically what my opponent discusses is how like when it comes to housing, parking, tuition, and let me just list it. And like class materials, and yeah, they mentioned meal plans, that was like such a burden. But basically, I consider those, and like looking through researching, they consider those kind of like luxury items, because one doesn't need a parking permit or a car necessarily to get a college degree, and you also don't need a meal plan or to live on campus. Many college students take the bus to school, live off campus, and don't have meal plans. So that's not, detrimental to getting a college degree. And and also with their evidence, they're using a CNBC article that it was really advocating for getting a college degree by many of their points, because they're discussing how a college degree could actually, you basically would get more in the long run as far as pay with a college degree. And the article also centered around the debt that you would obtain after going to college, and that debt was based on loans. So if one doesn't take out loans, then the article necessarily had no basis. And then also and to go against my opponent again, the students can attain jobs and get scholarships and grants and to pay off college, so it doesn't necessarily have to be loans. And and also colleges provide resources that for those in need, and if a student it's a student's job basically to pick a university that fits them. So if you're not rolling money, don't go to USC. If you don't have the funds to do it, Stanford's not for you. So it's just the student basically needs to kind of assess where they're at, what kind of degree they want to get, and what school fits them. Not always going after the most expensive school, because that's where it seems not to be beneficial. And then for the secondary claim, I said not having a degree is more detrimental to one's growth and ability to support themselves or their family. And and basically to go off of that, if you don't have a degree, there's from Prep Scholar, they had basically statistics saying how 12% of those who just have a high school degree are unemployed, compared to 3.8% that have a bachelor's degree. That's the unemployment rate. So basically, if you have a high school degree, they have a greater percentage of being unemployed. And then also, my opponent did discuss how the cost of college is rising, and with that, and basically he was kind of going for since it's rising, is it worth going to college? And I say that it is, because I have basically a chart, and it talks about from in 1979, where you can just have a high school degree, the average income was $50,000, compared to in 2003, just having a high school degree, it was $39,000 for their annual income. So that just shows you how from then to now the income is decreasing. So high school degrees aren't as just having a high school degree isn't going to be cut it. And then going off of their evidence, they had this Forbes article where it just focused on why hospitals needed to change their requirement for attaining the job, because at first it said you required a degree, and then they went back on saying, oh, maybe we shouldn't make that a requirement, just because people weren't responding to their ad, and it was for an entry-level position, and that's basically what he had. And also Going against that, getting a college degree, it gives you job security. And with that, most of the jobs that high school diplomas would give you would be like entry-level jobs, drivers, fast food, joints, and all of that. And in the near future, that those jobs could be getting like taken over by robots and like ordering online and stuff like that. So you don't have job security compared to having a degree where you need critical thinking or you have a skill and a robot can't do that skill. So.
I thought you started off pretty effectively, an organization listing the main and secondary claims that the advocate presented, but after that it got a little confusing. You've got an immediate counterclaim about the need for a bachelor's degree, which I think is reasonable, but then there comes an issue about the cost-benefit ratio, and I didn't hear a very clear explanation about how we're supposed to measure those things. So the long-term benefits that we get from advanced college degrees. I do get some comparisons in several places to people who only have a high school degree. I think that's important, but when you're putting it into terms of long-term benefit, we also have to compare it to the cost or the investment that we're making in paying for the college degree. And I think that you don't really come to grips with what those numbers are ever. The argument that you had that suggests that students, basically need to choose the universities based on their abilities and their ability to pay and that sort of thing. I think that that's a good argument to make there, and there are plenty of examples that would be easy to point to that students can gain access to a college degree through a combination of means that are relatively inexpensive. For example, community college and transferring to a four-year university, a state university that's relatively moderate, that doesn't require you to live on campus, those sorts of things. I think there's a lot more information available about the moderate prices available for college degrees that leave out some of those luxury things that you talk about. Although in Southern California, a parking permit I don't think of as being a luxury item. A food plan would be if you don't live on campus. Living on campus, it's usually a requirement. But that would be another one of those things. Are students required to live on campuses? I think that's another one of those things where the assumption that the advocate is making is that people spend this money without thinking about it, but that's the responsibility of the student rather than the system itself. Then you come back to the argument about the problem with a lack of degree, and I'm not sure if this is being applied directly to one of the advocate's claims or if this is another general counterclaim that you've got. You get a little lost on some of the arguments that you're going to be making there, but you finally get to the point when you have that information about unemployment among those who have high school degrees versus college degrees. I understood what you were saying there. You do want source citations on some of this information. The income comparison from 1979 to now for high school graduates. Again, I think that that's good information. Make sure you give us a source citation on it. And your argument here is you can't get along without a college degree as much as you could once upon a time, and that the entry-level jobs are not going to be around much longer, so we need to have, like you said, the critical thinking ideas. I think you've got good arguments in the speech. Sometimes they get kind of buried in your explanations. A couple of delivery things, not big deals, but you probably don't want to lean on the podium. You probably don't want to cross your arms while you're speaking. Sometimes you're leaning down while you're reading, and it's better to just kind of stand there and be a little bit more assertive. You look more passive than you want to look. All right, thank you.